Hello, welcome to the garden. And today we're going to go over a topic that's very dear to me. I just finished sending out about 20 grids, and I think it was like 19 exactly, and some crystal compasses and some other things. Some people say, we talk about firing it up. What does that mean? So I send instructions with the grids on how to fire it up, but then I also have people who come back and say, can you help me fire it up? They want to make sure, I guess they did it right. I don't know. If you follow your instincts and move from the center out, I don't know how you can do it wrong, but we'll go through it. So anyway, what I wanted to do today, though, was fire up my own grid, my own family grid that I keep here. That's the first grid I ever built, but it's been changed a little bit. And so I'm going to move the camera down so you can see it. And I'll talk about the changes I've made on it. I put in a pyramid in the center, and pyramids are really great because they take the energy and they bring it in from the top and they spread it out across everything. And this particular pyramid is really cool because it has all the chakra colors in it. And I bought that at Nature's Treasures in Austin, and I really like it, and I normally keep it back on my desk. So I decided I was replacing the black obsidian pyramid that had been there. And I just decided I want to draw in, for all chakras, completely balanced everything. So that's my center stone. Then I've got pyrite and adventurine that are the next ring out. And then the next ring out is citrine, which attracts money. And I have tiger's eye on each side. And at the bottom, I have some eucalyptus, and I have a piece that's really interesting. This was formed by a lightning strike, and they're called fugites. And that one happened to be where there was a lot of iron in the soil, so that's why it turned bright red like that. Then the other things I added to my grid this time was another piece of eucalyptus that's pinkish and has different colors in it. I put in a piece of shungite, which is the 99.9% carbon mineral that was made by a huge extraterrestrial object hitting the Earth 2.3 billion years ago. That's billion with a B, not billion with an M, not million with an M. And there's a huge vein of it. And it's a very powerful stone as far as connecting our worldly senses to the cosmic consciousness. And then I have a piece of carnelian that's for heart. It brings in wisdom and tranquility. And then I have a piece of jade, which is jade, wisdom and tranquility and harmony. And carnelian banishes emotional negativity and replaces it with balance and harmony. So that's kind of where I'm feeling now. I've been working 90 to nothing. I had to take some days off. So I really kind of wanted to get this video done. So if you build your own grid, how do you fire it up? Well, first of all, beneath this grid is a set of intentions, which I tend to keep my intentions that way to myself. I don't show the list. And it's underneath the grid. And now and I've swept this with Palo Santo smoke. You could use sage. You could use anything you can use to purify things. I would avoid water because kyanite tends to flip apart. Oh, that's right. I didn't talk about the kyanite. Kyanite and quartz is a real good connector, so it's connecting the outer stones. So in other words, the grid's really the center part. These are stones I've added for extra activity that I just wanted emphasis I wanted to make on things right now. So you start with your center stone, and you come to the stone closest to you in the next ring. And you go to the center stone, you do this stone. And you start joining the energy of all of these. Then you go to the pyrite. Then you go to the fugite in this case, the tiger's eye, the unakite, and the other tiger's eye. Then you go to the citrine, 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 citrine. And then if you want to bring those four stones in, you'd go out and you move it in a clockwise position. I can tell you this is firing up. Then you go back to the middle and you start circling out. And you gather up all the energy of all the stones that you've fired up here. Then you bring it back into the center and you put your hand over it and it's warm. Now, when I fire up a grid, that's why I call it firing up a grid, is it feels warm to me. Now, I've done grids with people, sent them a little wand, sent them everything. They didn't feel the warmth at the middle, but one time someone felt a shock as she was going around. She felt a shock run up her arm from a stone. There's all sorts of ways the stones will tell you they're working. If it doesn't fire up the first time, go back around. And it'd be better if you weren't doing a YouTube show at the same time, if you were just concentrating on firing up the stones, which I will do when we're off camera. But I had a lady and she wanted me to fire it up with hers because it didn't feel warm. So I fired it up with her, and it was when Mercury was in a big retrograde in the early winter. And she said, still doesn't feel warm. And she said, maybe it's Mercury being retrograde. And I said, okay, well, we'll try this again. Then after Mercury went direct and we gave it time to be completely out of its shadow, go look up astrology if you want to learn about that shadow stuff. But it got completely out of all that. And then we tried firing it up. And she said she still didn't feel anything warm. Well, when she was firing it up where she was, I put my hands like this and I was following her energy around. And I could feel that the stone in the middle was responding. So she started keeping a diary of all the things that she put on her intentions list to have happen. And she just started writing it out. And she realized, even before she did that, that already things had started to happen from her intentions list. And she just couldn't feel the heat off the stones. I don't know why she couldn't feel the heat off the stones. So there's several ways you could check. Sometimes you just feel better. People have told me when they unwrapped it, they just felt it, the room felt better. Lots of different ways that works, but that's how you fire up a grid. How do you build a grid? You look at what stones can be used for. Like I pointed out in this case, I'm taking you back down here again, guys. Okay. This is green aventurine, which is really good for bringing in good luck. And this is pyrite. And pyrite's another fortune stone. It brings in good luck. So does citrine. And when I first built this grid, it was to bring in prosperity and some new abundances to the people that I had on my list. I had more than my family on the list, and things happened almost immediately for me and then for other friends that were on that list that were changes in their prosperity, changes in their abundance. And this little baby's been pumping along since March of 2019. And I do not affix my stones. I used to never affix stones till I had to mail them to people. And I do offer grids two ways. One, where it's completely built and affixed, and I send it to you that way. The other is I send you the grid map underneath. I send you a really good picture of what you're getting. And I let you build your own. And I've only had a couple. I actually started doing that because I had a woman who specifically wanted to do her own. I've also had another woman who decided to do her own, and I used her grid as an example of how I put a grid together before I affix it down. And she called me, well, she emailed me and she said, I can't get my grid together. I'm looking at the picture, it's just not. And I said, go look at that show. And she went, oh yeah, and she did get it together. So, you have to be visually pretty aware of what you're looking at to get this to go if you're doing it from just a picture, but I'll do it however it works out best for you. If you're interested in a grid, if you're interested in compasses heat up the same way, they fire up the same way. You have a center stone and you connect all the stones that are in those compasses, and the little crystal compasses are the three stones that I have, and I have some sort of prepackaged ones. Then there's the guidance compasses that are bigger. And those are the ones that we do a reading and we decide what stones are best for you. They're a little more expensive because you got a reading in there. And then, of course, there's the crystal grids. So, and the heart chakra egg is on my website right now. Within the next 14 days, I will have all the other chakra eggs on my website. In theory, my fabricator's back in Denver. Her family emergency's over. She's back working her heart out to get it out. And for those of you who ordered crystal compasses, ordered the eggs, they will be being shipped to you soon. If they're not shipped, they may be shipped as early as this weekend, because every one of those is handmade. And we're getting them out as fast as we can. And I hope this kind of explains how to fire up a grid. I hope it gets you interested in building your own grid. Grids basically decide what your intentions are, figure out which stones are going to work the best. And if you've been collecting stones, you can just feel them and say, I think this is going to be good for me. And you can just put your own in there. I've had a lot of people watching this channel who decided I can do that. And they built some really pretty grids. And one woman even won a bag of rocks from me to build her own grid. And she built an absolutely gorgeous grid. She actually is here in Texas. I could have driven the stones over to her house faster than I could mail them, but I didn't feel like getting out in the car. So she got them in the mail and she built a beautiful grid. And you can do it too. I mean, grids don't have to be as big as this one or as elaborate as this. They can be smaller. They can be in whatever shape, form you want. I built grids in the infinity sign. And what I think that sign means is you're trying to, for me, that grid, the person I did it for, is trying to bring two sides of their life together. And that was what was the stone that was in the center, and one wing of the infinity signified the life that they were talking about. The other was the other part of their life that they were trying to merge together. So it's kind of my grid building stuff for the day. I hope y'all had a lovely week. I had a lovely week off. You can see my birthday flowers are still behind me. And I will talk at you later. Have a good day.